fellow booktubers, my name is Laura and you're watching Dreams, Books, Courage, and today I'm going to be doing a book discussion over The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. And I feel like this video is long overdue because this is my favorite book of all time, and I probably should have done this video like last year, but I just got done rereading this book for the third time the other day, so I thought now would be the perfect time to do this video. And although this is a book discussion, I'm going to also talk about my memories and why this book really means so much to me. First, I just wanted to mention that my shirt is actually John Green inspired, and that's why I'm wearing it. So now let's go ahead and get on to talking about this book. And this is going to be more of a non-spoilery discussion, so you don't have to worry if you haven't read this book yet, although I'm sure most of you have. For those of you who do not know, this book is about a girl named Hazel and a guy named Augustus, and Augustus is pretty much like the most adorable and perfect guy in the world, and Hazel is a really awesome girl who has really awesome parents, but she has a form of terminal cancer, and so she knows she's probably going to be dying pretty soon. And Augustus has cancer that is in remission, but he did have to go through chemo and all those sort of treatments at one point in time. And it's just about Hazel and Augustus's love story and what life really means and questioning oblivion and that sort of thing. It's a beautiful story, and I would definitely recommend that you all read it. I first read this book in June of 2013, and I found out about this book through John Green and him and his brother's YouTube channel, which is Vlog Brothers. And I found out that John was actually an author, and so of course I wanted to pick up his books, and so this is the first one that I read by him. And of course this deals heavily on the topic of cancer, and I was dealing with a lot of that in my own life as well at the time that I read this. My dad actually had cancer, and so I knew a lot about what Hazel was going through because a lot of it I was also dealing with myself. And my dad actually passed away the month after I read this book, so it definitely hit me hard. But I felt like I made it through better because I had read this book. Like, I felt like I came to terms better with death and that I could handle it in a better way because I had read this novel. And Hazel had a lot of grief in this book, and I felt that same way, but because I felt like I wasn't going through it alone and I had experienced this before with a character within this novel, it wasn't necessarily as bad for me, and I feel like a lot of that is owed to this book and also to John Green. John Green actually had one of his friends pass away from cancer that was about my age, and so he definitely dealt with this topic directly, and he knew what it was like to see someone suffer with cancer and not be able to do anything about it. So the way that he wrote this book and articulated his feelings was just so beautiful to me, and I could completely relate to it. There's a quote in this book that says, "Sometimes you read a book and it fills you with this weird evangelical zeal, and you become convinced that the shattered world will never be put back together unless and until all living humans read the book." And that's exactly how I feel about this novel. It just meant so much to me to read this and read this at the perfect time that I needed to. And for that, I have infinite gratitude towards John Green and all of his novels. And that is part of why I love his books and why I love him so much, because he helped me through the hardest time in my life. And it's crazy that I've never even met him or had a conversation with him, but he has changed who I am. The first time I read this book, I actually read it as an ebook, which is very weird for me because I don't necessarily love reading books on an electronic format. But this book got me back into reading, and so it really meant a lot to me for that reason especially. Like, without this novel, I probably wouldn't even have heard of BookTube, and I would never be a booktuber. So of course this book has affected me in a crazy way that I never imagined would happen. And now I get to discuss things with all of you guys, and that's just an amazing feeling to me. There's another paragraph in this book that I just want to read because it is one of my favorite paragraphs of all time, and it says, "I'm not a mathematician, but I know this. There are infinite numbers between 0 and 1. There's 0.1 and 0.12 and 0.112 and an infinite collection of others. Of course, there's a bigger infinite set of numbers between 0 and 2, or between 0 and a million. Some infinities are bigger than other infinities. A writer we used to like taught us that." And then to skip down a few lines because I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. "You gave me a forever within the numbered days, and I'm grateful." That's just one of the sweetest quotes ever, and that just has a lot of impact to me, and I feel like a lot of you are also impacted by that. But of course that part also makes me cry, as a lot of this book does. The second time I read this, I actually read it in its physical form in this book, which is actually an autographed edition, as you can see right here. And I actually paid $80 for this book, which is a crazy amount. but that money was actually donated through charity, so that didn't really feel like a splurge as much as it felt like a donation, because John Green and his brother Hank Green actually work with a lot of charities, and they're very awesome guys. I would definitely recommend that you guys check out their YouTube channel, which is Vlog Brothers. And the third time I read this book, I read it in audiobook form a few days ago, which is odd for me because I usually don't read things in audiobook form, but I felt like I might as well read it in the only other form that I haven't read it in. And I actually realized a part of the book that I didn't realize that I loved as much, but like it just stood out to me this third time that I read it. And it says, "The voracious ambition of humans is never sated by dreams coming true, because there is always the thought that everything might be done better and again." And that is so true for humanity and places we go and people we meet. And I feel like John Green really captures the essence of humanity within those words. And the last quote I wrote down is, "You don't get to choose if you get hurt in this world, old man, but you do have some say in who hurts you." And those words just hit me very hard every single time I read them, because it is true in part what Hazel says within this book, that we are all grenades and we all get to choose who hurts us, and that can be very impactful, but we also have to remember that it's worthwhile. And that's just another facet of humanity. And I love that John Green can tackle all these topics in a piece of young adult literature, because it's kind of unheard of in a lot of ways. But some people kind of write this book off now because it is considered popular. But really, I think this is a book that everyone should read at least once. And it might make you sad and cry, but works like that are also very important to us and to humanity to be able to read, because they make us more empathetic to people in those situations and dealing with those situations, such as cancer or really any type of illness. But I just love this book so much, and I would love it if you guys shared your thoughts down below about how this book has affected you or how much you enjoyed it. Of course, I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. I plan to read it every year for the rest of my life during the month of June, just because that's the month that I first read it. And so I'm really glad that I finally got to share my thoughts on this book with you guys. Hopefully now you know a little bit more about me and why this book really is my favorite, and why John Green is my favorite author. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and now I'm gonna go get back to reading.